We wanted to introduce you to some STU faculty members who I have no doubt will, in no time at all, be your future mentors when you're here at St. Thomas. So as I mentioned earlier in today's program, every single person with whom you'll be talking has a connection to St. Thomas, not only as a staff or faculty member, but also having attended St. Thomas University themselves. So with that, I'm going to introduce Louise, one of our admissions counselors who is going to be moderating this next panel. Louise, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Christy, and thank you to everyone. We've had some great sessions here this morning, and the next one will undoubtedly be amazing as well. So I am thrilled to be welcoming some of our faculty members who, as Christy mentioned, are all STU alumni, so that's pretty exciting. I've actually had the pleasure to take courses with several of the members of this panel today. So I'm excited for all of our viewers to kind of get an idea of what makes STU students so excited about their classes, who our professors are and what they kind of give back to their students. So with that, I'm just going to ask everybody to go around and kind of do some self-introductions, and I'll pass it over first to Dr. Dinan.
Hi, I'm Matt Dinan. I'm the director of the Great Books program and the Aquinas program at St. Thomas, and I graduated from St. Thomas in 2006.
Excellent, thanks so much. And then next we have Dr. DiPaolo.
Hi, I'm Amanda DiPaolo. I'm the chair of the Human Rights Department and the program director for Moot Court. And I also graduated from St. Thomas in 2001.
Thank you so much. And next up, we have Dr. Wisniewski.
Hi, folks. I work with the Communication and Public Policy program here at STU. I graduated way back in 2003. And I'm also a proud alumni, as you know, and a member of the Alumni Board of Directors now here at STU.
Thank you. And Dr. Robinson.
Hello, I'm Matt Robinson, and I'm chair of the English department. And I graduated from St. Thomas as well in 1998.
Excellent. And then Dr. Fredericks.
Hi, I'm Erin Fredericks. I'm in the sociology department, and I graduated from STU in 2006.
All right. And then last but not least, Dr. Clark.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dawn Clark, and I teach in the Department of Criminology and Criminal Justice. I am not telling you when I graduated from St. Thomas, but I will tell you that I also, with Dr. Wisniewski, sit on the alumni board of directors for St. Thomas University.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for those introductions. The first question that I would like to ask you all, we're just going to do a round table. If we just want to start in the same order as you just went through introductions and answer this question, it's what do you wish more future students knew about your discipline or your subject area? So Dr. Dinan, if you want to start us off, and then we can just keep on going with that order.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Well, I wish more students knew, I guess, about the distinctive pedagogy that we use in the Great Books program. So we don't just study kind of the greatest hits, everything from Plato all the way through to the present day texts from the Eastern and Western kind of traditions. But we also think really hard about how we want to run our classes. We have kind of team teaching pedagogy where you always have more than one professor from a different academic background teaching the class together. So your profs work together to make sure that when we examine questions, we do it from different perspectives. We, for the most part, run our classes like seminars. If you stick around for the sample class, you'll see this. We have heavy focus on getting students to share their ideas and their kind of reactions to the texts that we study together. So I'm interested not just in what we study, but how we do it when we talk about the Great Books program. And I think that's a really unique thing to our program. And I wish more students knew about that.
So I'll go next, and that's a great question. I wish more students knew how fundamental human rights are to almost every area of our lives, and how great a knowledge of human rights and the obligations that countries have in regard to human rights. I wish students knew the importance of that. I think that a basic knowledge of human rights is really important for students studying the liberal arts.
Okay, I'll jump on in here after Amanda. So I think one of the really big highlights for students to know up front about our communications and public policy program is that it's very rare to find a communications program that does have an element that's specifically about engaging the public and building the fabric of democracy through allowing people to understand policy processes and policy communications. So like having that particular field within a broader communications program is super rare and a very valuable opportunity. I'd also like to reinforce something that folks may have heard a little bit about in the last panel, which is that our program relies to a really large extent on experiential learning. So that involves courses in podcasting, documentary, other types of journalistic work, social media management, all of those kinds of courses. And a number of our courses are taught by people who are working in the field, and we're lucky enough to have them with us as part-time faculty. So those are some highlights from our program, but it's a really diverse program for a small one. We have lots going on. We have the experiential learning piece, and we also have a more critical piece around looking at media and political institutions. So there's lots to do with us.
Did that work? Can you hear me now? Testing? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. When I was just graduating with my PhD, I remember a bunch of us asked one of the professors, what exactly is it that we do again in English? And the answer was, well, you're very good readers. And so that's kind of the thing that holds English together, is that we focus very much on reading, but what we read is incredibly varied. We've got digital literacy courses where you're reading texts and tweets and television shows and TikTok. Too new for me. With me, you're reading big, difficult novels written 100 years ago, but with some people, you're reading stuff that sounds like What we gardena in year dagen sayed koning of Rimjeflunen. That's what Old English sounds like. There's also Middle English, and there's poetry, and there's creative writing, and there's all sorts of stuff. So what really holds it together, I think, is just that we work on, sophisticated ways of reading, and it sort of helps you be generally good at all your other classes, I think.
Well, I don't speak Old English, so that's hard to follow up. But in sociology, we focus on the tools to understand complex social problems. So coming out of high school, folks either have no idea what sociology is, the understanding of groups of people and how they function in society, or they took a class where you memorized a whole bunch of stuff and did exams, and that's not how we do it at STU, or they did this sort of course that was more like the weird documentary section of Crave, like the weirdest things that are happening in the world, which is not really what we do either. So in Soc at STU, our focus is on everyday social problems that you folks are interested in trying to fix in your future careers, and the tools necessary to make some positive change in terms of those issues.
Hi, everyone. So ironically, in criminology, our big challenge is not so much what you don't know about crime, but what you do know. And in spite of the fact that most people will never have serious engagement with the criminal justice system, popular culture has taken great misinformed leaps and strides in creating narratives about crime that are actually not necessarily correct, because of course popular culture is all about entertainment. Criminology is technically the scientific study of crime and its consequences. So we start with your popular culture knowledge base, or at least I do, and then we move into saying, okay, so this is what you see on television, for example. Let's see what it's like when we take it out of that context. And so our job is to teach you how to think critically about crime in a society where crime narratives dominate pretty much all aspects of our lives. The information becomes very overwhelming. And if you have the critical thinking skills, then you can sift through that information. Little plug for English. I graduated from St. Thomas with an honors in Soc and a major in English, and Maddie is right. Definitely the reading has been a huge help for me in my work as a criminologist, and sociology, that's a given. So.
Okay, thank you everyone for those thoughtful answers. I think just as you all gave your own individual answers, you really hit on a lot of those things that are integral to a liberal arts education, and more specifically a liberal arts education at St. Thomas. The importance of interdisciplinary learning, experiential learning, and those skills that we gain that are applicable to so many different areas of life and areas of study. So thank you, everyone. My next question is just for Dr. DiPaolo, a big one. What is moot court, and would it be good for somebody who's interested in law school? And then kind of to follow up with that, how soon can somebody join our moot court team?
Oh, okay. So that is a big question. And so I love moot court. I brought it with me to St. Thomas when I came back to teach in 2014. And yes, it is actually designed for students who want to go to law school. And so if you're interested in law school, and in that sense, so is the Human Rights Department in general. Half of our courses are based on different legal systems: international law, criminal law, or international criminal law, constitutional law. And so it's so many of our courses are law-based, but none quite like moot court. Moot court is something that you can take 3 times. You get credit for it. What it is that it's experiential learning, and you have a team. You start in your first year of the moot court program with American constitutional law and Canadian constitutional law. And so you travel to the United States and you're arguing questions of law in competition against other schools. It's sort of like appellate court. So the trials have already happened. It's not like mock trial where you go and you pretend you're a defense attorney or a prosecutor and you have witnesses. It's after that has already happened and there's an error in law somewhere along the way. And so you're appealing the decision of the lower court. And so you're pretending that you're in a Supreme Court setting where you're the attorney arguing for the applicant, the person who has been wronged at the lower court level, or you're responding to that. And you go up against other teams from other schools. And so it's a competition. And during the semester, you work on your legal arguments. It teaches you how to think critically about law, how to write legal briefs, how to make oral arguments. You do written legal briefs. So then after your first year, and you do that at the American level, and you also have an opportunity to compete under Canadian constitutional law in Toronto. That's in the winter semester. And after your first year, then you have an opportunity to actually compete against other law students. And what's really unique about moot court at St. Thomas is that not all law students make their competitive law school moot court teams. Every law student will get to compete in a moot court against other first-year law students, but after that, only very few actually get to go on to compete on traveling moot court teams where they're competing against other law students. At St. Thomas, you can do that as an undergrad. We compete at the International Criminal Court moot. We compete at in Geneva at Nelson Mandela World Moot Court at the UN in Geneva. One of my favorites is Space Moot. We go to Washington, DC and argue space law. Sometimes we do environmental law. Last year we won that competition in Tampa Bay and against law students. And so, yeah, moot court is something that if you're interested in law school, you absolutely should apply to be on the team. Typically, it is reserved for students in their second, third, and fourth year, but I have had some very keen first-year students who have contacted me in the winter prior to them coming to St. Thomas, asking if they can join the team, and that is a possibility. So if you're coming to St. Thomas, and one of the reasons why you're coming is really because you want to be on that moot court team, I do recommend sending me an email, and we can talk about that. We're actually in the process of picking the team for next year, and so now would be the time to do that.
Excellent. That was a great explanation. Thank you so much, Dr. DiPaolo. And it's great to know that our ambitious pre-law students can get a head start on learning more about that program and hopefully getting involved. So my next question, I'm going to throw to Dr. Fredericks. So from a student who's interested in healthcare, they're wondering if there's any opportunity to go on to further studies related to healthcare after studying at St. Thomas.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I did. So I did my undergraduate degree in sociology at STU, and then my master's and PhD are actually in health services research. And I worked in the Department of Health in Nova Scotia, now do consulting for the Department of Health here in New Brunswick. So certainly you can. If you're interested in health policy, we have a new health promotion certificate offered through the gerontology program. We just brought in a health statistician, Dr. Anthony Jen, who just started in the sociology department and is an excellent professor if that's what you're hoping to go on in. And we also have a number of recent grads who have added an anatomy course to their BA, which we can advise you how to do that, and then gone on to be occupational therapists or work in other health professions. And so, and you can even actually go to most med schools in Canada now with a Bachelor of Arts degree. So I supervise former anthropology and sociology students who are doing their Dalhousie medical program at UNBSJ. And they are fabulous because arts students make really great family physicians. So we have a ton of health courses that you folks can take, and you're welcome to reach out to me. My email is just fredericks@stu.ca, and I can send you a list of some of the courses that I'd recommend. But certainly they're all ones that you would start after first year. And a lot of the themes that come up in your first year classes, things around justice and equality and rights and agency, all those are questions that are integral to healthcare policy and practice in Canada.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. I have another big question. This time it's for Dr. Dinan. What is the Aquinas program, and can it be a good fit for students who aren't sure if they want to major in great books just yet?
Yeah, thanks. So the Aquinas program is a distinctive first-year program that we only have at STU. It was developed here, and we've run it for about 20 years now. I was actually, when I was a student at St. Thomas, I did the Aquinas program, and now I'm in charge of it. So we need people to take it, so that because you can't study it anywhere else. So we need to get the next me, because I'm not going to do it forever. But the Aquinas program is a distinctive way of organizing your first year courses at St. Thomas. So what Aquinas does is it takes 3 introductory courses: an introductory course in political science, an introductory course in philosophy, and an introductory course in literature, in English literature. And it takes them and squishes them all together and turns them into a kind of super course taught by 3 professors. And so what happens is, instead of having kind of 3 different intro courses, we have a kind of smaller group. It's typically capped at 35 students. And we meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we make our way through long, typically longer kind of great texts from the ancient world all the way to the present day. And so the kind of the big advantage of the Aquinas program is that you're working with a teaching team. You have 3 professors who work together to design the course. So you're never going to have 2 papers due on the same day. And you are never going to have the kinds of conflicts between, like, well, what should I like focus on, right? We set it up so that you do one thing at a time over the course of the year. And so the way that it works in terms of the classroom is that instead of having a kind of traditional lecture class, we sit around a great big oval table, and we have the students share their thoughts on the books in response to questions that I or one of the other members of the teaching team will ask them. So the students come to class understanding that it's kind of on them to be the ones who are responsible for the quality of their educational experience. So it's a really great way to meet people. It's a great way to find people who are kind of share your intellectual interests, and it gives you a set of common texts that you study together that you're able to talk to, which give you not only a kind of vocabulary for kind of understanding your first year experience together, but also give you a toolkit for all of the other classes that you'll continue on in. And so that's I think the answer for, if you're not sure about great books, which is also a unique program at STU in Canada, where we study all sorts of kind of classic texts all the way up to contemporary texts from diverse authors. If you're not sure if you want to do great books, Aquinas is an excellent preparation for study in any other field. Our students go on to every major at St. Thomas, and they're actually given introductory credit in those 3 other disciplines. So let's say that you decide that philosophy is not for you. Well, you could continue in English literature, you continue in political science, or furthermore, you can continue in any other discipline, because the kind of the rigor of the preparation and the personalized attention and the intellectual community from Aquinas prepare students for academic success in their second year and beyond in other disciplines as well. So if you're somebody who is looking for an experience which is perhaps as different from high school as you could possibly get, that is Aquinas, and so both the challenge, I think, and the community will prepare you for success in any other program or department. And our students every year go on to all sorts of different kind of majors after they finish.
Excellent. That's a great way to put it. I think Aquinas makes a great stepping stone to whatever you want to go on and do after. So great answer. Thank you very much. For Dr. Clark, we have somebody who's wondering, what is an honors? And when do you have to decide if you're doing an honors, and who may want to consider doing one?
Okay, that's a lot of questions, so I'll try and be as brief as possible. So the honors program in criminology and across most disciplines is really for those students who have good GPAs. So in criminology, it's 3.5 or above, and who want to examine something in detail. So there's something they've heard in class or studied in class, and they really want to take that idea and go with it. So typically students make these decisions around the end of the second year, beginning of the third year, usually in consultation with a faculty member with whom they've kind of developed a really great relationship. I have supervised honors theses that have examined the social construction of crime in Martin Scorsese's films, to interviews with corrections officers. I've had several students do honors theses about missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, from either podcast data or newspaper articles. Really, it's your choice, your focus with faculty supervision. Every program is a little bit different in how they bring honors students into the honors program. So I would definitely recommend that you carefully read the honors, the calendar, in order to understand what are the requirements for the honors program and what I'm interested in. I always tell students that the honors program is historically designed for students who want to go to graduate school. But we have had honors students who go to grad school in popular culture studies, in criminology, sociology, psychology. We have honors students who go into the Bachelor of Social Work and the Bachelor of Education. The honors degree, that HONS, it kind of just gives you that step up. It's that opportunity to demonstrate that you can conceptualize and collect data and analyze that data and disseminate your results to the academic community. I tend to feel if you have the GPA, you should definitely try to do honors, but it's not for everyone. And I always recommend speaking with a faculty member in the department you're interested in, just to really get a better understanding of the ins and outs. It sounds like you have a lot of time, 8 months, but I've yet to meet an honors student who at the end of that 8 months said, oh my gosh, I had so much time. This was awesome. So we work with you. We don't put you out there on your own. And it really is a great opportunity to hone your research skills, your reading skills, your writing skills, and certainly is something for those students who are contemplating law school or grad school or anything sort of after you finish at St. Thomas.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Clark. That was great and a great explanation and some great advice as well. I'm going to quickly just ask myself a question that's been submitted. So are there any undergrad programs for students who plan to take their Bachelor of Education following graduation? And the short answer to that is yes. So basically, in order to qualify for a Bachelor of Education, you need to have a teachable, which is a certain number of credit hours in one approved subject. So we do have a list of teachables on our website. It's just stu.ca/teachables. But for instance, right now, just speaking on who's on this panel, English language and literature, that would be a teachable. So if you have a major in that, you could qualify for an education degree. Sociology as well is a teachable. I did the Bachelor of Education myself, and my teachable was Spanish. So we do have a wealth of subjects, programs that you can major in here at St. Thomas that are approved teachables. So we would suggest that you at least do a major in one of those. And that's the type of thing that if you are interested in doing the Bachelor of Education after your degree, thinking about it now is great because it just gives you plenty of time to prepare, but you have lots and lots of time to ask those questions and kind of figure all of that out. So that is an excellent question. Now I just want to send another question towards Dr. Wisniewski. So I'm thinking of joining a varsity team, women's hockey specifically. Is it possible to be a varsity athlete and still maintain a high average at STU? And are there faculty and staff supports for this?
Hey, I love that you threw me the hockey question. I just for everybody have to explain that I have had a number of students from women's hockey who come through my classes over the last few years, and I've always had a really great relationship with that team, and I'm a big supporter. I don't actually have any of my gear with me here today, but I have tons of hats and scarves and whatnot that are hockey related. But yeah, it's very, very possible. I've seen so many students go through and be very high performing academic students, and go on to BEDs like you yourself just talked about, and gone on to graduate school and so on. And at the same time, been very, very successful in the AUS. So it's amazing. And I think inspiring for a lot of other students to get to see just that, how students handle that mix while they're going through the program, but it does seem to be a recipe for success. So. Hope I answered your question.
Excellent. No, that was a great answer. Thank you so much. And thanks for supporting our student athletes all the time. And then I have another question for Dr. Robinson. So what opportunities are there at St. Thomas, and specifically within English language and literature, for creative writing? We get a lot of students who are very interested in kind of pursuing that.
I'm kind of excited about the creative writing program right now because I'm taking over some of the courses for it, which is great. And so I've got a stack of books right here, actually, on creative writing that I've been reading and thinking about. Oof. So if you want to take creative writing, the entry point for us is two second year courses that serve as introductions to creative writing. They're called Creative Writing Skills and Creative Writing, the other one, and Strategies. It's called, I'm still learning. You will take those probably with me next year. And then we have more advanced courses. There's advanced poetry, advanced prose, advanced screenwriting, and eventually there's the senior project where you basically, try to write a book or something substantial. And we have a variety of professors who are themselves published creative writers. A lot of them are connected to the PhD program down the hill in creative writing. So we have quite a variety of people who can teach you. And then we've had students have some excellent success in creative writing the past few years, people getting published in national journals and going on to do really interesting work, sometimes in English, but sometimes in other disciplines as well, media and communications and really cool stuff. We also do creative nonfiction as well. So it's not quite an essay and it's not quite a story. And we, like one graduate that I can think of off the top of my head is now writing for video game magazines and video game book series. So there's a lot of different things you can do.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's always really cool to read their writing of graduated students and kind of see the things that they're doing in that area. So thank you everyone so much for all your answers. I have one more question that I want to pass around the room again. So starting with Dr. Dinan, and then maybe we can just go through that list the way we did before. So this last question is, are there opportunities within your program or maybe an honors program, something like that, that allows students to study your discipline in more depth?
Yeah, so in Great Books, we have an honors program. It's a kind of very active honors program. And the way that it works for us, since we're an interdisciplinary program, we kind of study texts which are often studied in different disciplines. So typically, we encourage our students to do interdisciplinary research. So they'll look at kind of philosophical ideas in a novel, or they'll be looking at how we can, for instance, I had a student look at how the work of a kind of philosopher was, relevant to computer-human interaction, right? So it really, our honors program encourages students to kind of follow their interests and to kind of take those primary texts that we've been studying in our program and bring a kind of scholarly lens to them that will prepare them for future study. And so our students have gone on to graduate programs in disciplines like classics and literature and philosophy and political science, medicine, anything you can imagine, and at some of the best universities in North America. So it's one of my favorite parts of our program.
Okay, so with human rights, we also have an honors, and it's the same as the honors in all the other disciplines, where you get to study what you're really, really interested in relation to human rights. And like Great Books and everyone else, we've had students go on to do PhDs in human rights, PhDs in law, PhDs in political science, and all sorts of different master's programs. So yeah, there's that. And then there are a couple other ways where you can really get an in-depth look into human rights beyond just taking classes and getting the major. One way is through Moot Court, because as I said before, a lot of our classes, we have a class on international criminal law, we have a class on international human rights law, on Canadian constitutional law. And so our Moot Court program, when you take those various Moot Courts, you get a really, really in-depth look at those legal systems by exploring one particular issue area. And then another way is through our internship program, where we actually work with students where they get placed. So this is different than the internship program that Stu has. It's an internship program specifically within the Human Rights Department, where you're placed with various community partners. And some of those community partners have actually resulted in full-time employment upon graduation for the student. But within those internships, you also get to the experiential learning within there. There is an academic component where you take what you're learning through experience and then apply that academically through writing. And we also hire students each year to work with us and our research projects. Currently, I'm co-authoring an article with a student who is also being paid as my research assistant. And so there are all sorts of different ways where within the program, beyond just the honors, that you can get a real good in-depth study of human rights regarding an issue that you're really interested in.
I'd just add that there is honors in English, regular honors, and honors in creative writing as well. We don't tend to focus in English on doing honors theses. So what's distinctive about our honors program is the seminar courses, which are small, they're capped at 15, they're intensive, they're usually on active research projects that our faculty are doing. So we've got one next year, for instance, that's really just it's team taught by two of us, and we're really working on the scholarship right now as we're doing it. But beyond that, we don't usually have people doing honors theses in English, but we do have people working with honors advisors from their third and fourth year onwards.
I'll just jump in here as well and say a quick word about communications and public policy. So I would say our kind of opportunities for enrichment start early in our program. We have a lot of special topics courses. So this past year, we had a special topics course on Taylor Swift. I just have to mention that. Next year, we have one on arts reporting. So certainly there are specialized courses you can take. You don't have to wait until you are in your fourth year or third year thinking about that last year plan. You can be taking kinds of specialized courses as you go. In the kind of typical path though for communications and public policy, we do have honors, but not that many of our students go for that option, honestly, because they can find work often kind of directly out of their BA program, or they go into a public policy or a marketing program that doesn't require an honors. So we do have honors as an option, and we could certainly talk to anyone who's interested in that. But the more typical path is for our third and fourth year students to do, as Amanda mentioned, a specialized internship that's related to their program rather than offered through the generally to students. So we do have a specialized internship, just as they do in human rights. And we also have a senior seminar, which is a capstone seminar where students complete a project in communications and a project in policy analysis. So that's kind of some of what we have to offer.
I think it's interesting being near the end. I think what you're seeing, hopefully, as someone attending this panel, is that every discipline offers excellent opportunities for experiential learning, independent research studies, volunteer positions, and paid positions. In sociology, we do the same. Right now, we have 15 of our majors working with faculty members on research projects, and that would be paid work. And so they're getting, real life experience in the field. I can say that we actually just got an email in sociology from a university in Ontario saying that they found STU students had exceptional applications for their graduate programs because of the amount of experience people are getting at the undergraduate level. And so this is not something that every university can offer because of its size. And so, all of the opportunities that you've heard about here are pretty impressive compared to some of the ones you'd get at a larger institution. So, and we are so happy for the opportunities to work with undergraduate students as well.
Hi. So yeah, we have also in criminology, the honors program, but we also have something that is very unique to criminology at St. Thomas. We have in concert with New Brunswick Community College, a program that we call the BAACJ. And that means the Bachelor of Applied Arts in Criminology and Criminal Justice. And so what happens in that program is you start actually at the New Brunswick Community College. Miramichi and Dieppe tend to be the two that give us the greatest number of students. You do 2 years there, then you do 2 years at St. Thomas. The students who take this program find that it's a really, really helpful blend of the applied and the theoretical. So the stuff that they're learning at NBCC, then they come to criminology at St. Thomas, and they understand more of some of the critical aspects of the kind of program they're interested in. The other option after the BAACJ is to stay for one more additional year and get a BA in criminology and criminal justice. So in 5 years, you walk away with 3 designations. So that's the program that sort of is the complement to the honors program, which is for those students who want to do the theoretical, thinking pieces. But then we also have this applied piece that can be considered part of experiential learning. We also have students who in the past, and I've had the opportunity to do this with them, is to take them to various incarceratory facilities to work with and provide programs for, in my case, women who are incarcerated at the Miramichi. So we have both the opportunity for the students who want to go on and do the standard grad school, master's, PhD route, but then we also have that piece for the students who want to get right out there and start working. And the BAACJ program is a wonderful opportunity for those students who want to get out there and get into the criminal justice system and work with people who are incarcerated or in developing policy. They've gone on to do amazing things. There's too many for me to share right now, but if anybody's interested, you can always email me. I'm always happy to talk with prospective students.